Well, let's see if we can make it through the rest of this. Now, I sped it up a little bit. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. We left off with AOC accusing the Republicans of discriminating and keeping women down. And of course, we know it's the left that was doing that by allowing men in women's private spaces, telling Tampon Tim State, and even Virginia did it at high schools and schools, letting transistor boys go into girls' bathrooms, which predators definitely took advantage of that. We had one case where the guy went in there, assaulted a girl. He was expelled, goes to a different school, and damn, he did the same thing. We know why Jay Jones is so pissed off at Donald Trump, because they're pissed off because they're not allowing boys in women's bathrooms. It's absurd. We got to protect our people in Virginia. We got to protect our schools. We got to protect the funding. Well, you're not going to get funded by doing stupid crap. But anyway, I sped it up a little bit. It's not too bad, so we can get through this. So let's hear what other questions we get and what other stupid answers we get back. Here we go.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Sanders, we have a lot more questions for both of you coming up. We're going to take a short break and be right back with our CNN Town Hall.
Crap.
And Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez here tonight for our CNN Town Hall. Representative, this next question is for you, and it comes from Ashley Vasquez, who is from Washington, D.C., and is an attorney with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, who is currently furloughed. I should note that Ashley and 4 of her colleagues have filed a lawsuit alleging that HUD retaliated against them for helping others exercise their rights under the Fair Housing Act. Ashley, what's your question tonight?
Thank you. Just to reiterate, I am speaking on my personal capacity, not representing the government, and I'm here with some of my colleagues who have been fired for speaking up and speaking out. So my question is about retaliation. Many federal employees have been afraid to speak up. They've been afraid to push back on illegal orders, and some have even felt the need to comply in advance to prove their loyalty and protect their jobs. What would you say to those career federal employees, and is there anything at all that can be done to stop the retaliation and overcome this culture of fear?
Well, thank you. Thank you for your question. And you know, I think even all of us heard at the top of the show tonight that many of the federal workers here are not having, that CNN is not disclosing the party affiliation of the federal workers that are here tonight. And that's for a reason, precisely because of the question that you're asking. Because there is a fear over political retaliation by this administration and a singling out and isolating of career federal workers based on party affiliation, just in their participation in public civic discourse. And this is from a Republican Party that claims to believe in free speech, which we know from their actions in the last couple of months have actually been doing nothing but the opposite. No one should be afraid of retaliation in their workplace. It's just unacceptable. And we're not just talking about the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We're seeing this as well at the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, where people's lives are literally on the line. People are being fired. We're not talking about political appointees. We're talking about career civil servants. People who have been scientists for 20 years developing the next generation of chemotherapy treatments. People, the absolute public servants who, by the way, forego very often lucrative careers in the private sector because they believe in the values of public service. That is who this administration is targeting. Over what? Well, we saw that this administration was directing everyday federal workers to put in their email signatures partisan messaging that is likely in violation of the Hatch Act. And so this intimidation that people are feeling is not just about expressing themselves. They feel that this administration is trying to pressure them into breaking the law, or else they will lose their job.
Well, and to follow up with you on that, in terms...
Whoa, wait a minute. Doge has been going around and finding the waste. And I like how they kept saying career. You've made a career out of working for the public sector. Now, I would think maybe like a social worker or something like that would be a career. I don't think you should be a career politician. And a lot of these people who are getting fired, it's because they're dumb programs. I can probably guarantee it. That they're getting rid of wasteful spending. Isn't that what we've always wanted? We don't want a bloated government. The left has always wanted a bloated government. Oh, we need a new committee. We need a new subcommittee. And they all need to get paid. We need studies on gay dancing and cooking classes. We need DEI in the government. I'm sure they had them everywhere. I don't know if it's true, but I wouldn't doubt it. That a lot of these states would have DEI groups that they created, some kind of office, the Office of DEI, Office of DEI, and they're getting paid this ridiculous amount of money. I don't know if y'all been watching Zoe. She's a black woman in Chicago, and she posts a lot of videos. Chicago Flip Red, right? Y'all go find her. Chicago Flips Red. Well, I watched a video of hers last night, and she was sitting in the offices of the housing authority, and she was just rambling on while she's filming with her phone. She's rambling on, and she's really just, berating them basically. And a couple of them were like, well, you need to leave. And she's all like, well, you can call the cops. And she's talking about the corruption that goes on in the housing authority, where they gave all this housing and money and vouchers to these illegals. And she's saying some people are still on housing wait lists with these vouchers. Now, look, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on, but each person that wants to go try to get a voucher needs to be fully vetted. Are you an able body to work? Why do you need this voucher? And this is what needs to be happening. So basically, she's saying that, and I'm sure she's right, that the office is corrupt. What we've been seeing almost on a daily basis is all this different corruption, and it's all from the left coming out of how they waste money and how money's being funneled, and money that is supposed to go to help people is not going to help people. So even Zoe's saying that these vouchers and the housing is going to these illegals, I bet it's minimal, that this money is just being funneled to other places, because that's what we're seeing, that this is what's happening. So she's killing me. And then for them for her to say, they keep saying career. Yeah, they're scared to talk. Yeah, they're probably scared because their job is stupid. I'm just thinking that maybe whatever they're doing for the government and whatever the program this is, it's probably meaningless, and it's just a waste of money. And they should be scared. You better go find another job. You should already know. If any of you out there are working in these type of positions, you're like, yeah, this job's like, yeah, I always thought it was kind of dumb anyway, but hell, I was getting a paycheck, and I'm getting full health care benefits because I'm working for the state. So I think she's being a little disingenuous by saying that the administration is just carte blanche, just firing people for no reason. You can make damn sure there's a good reason.
In terms of the federal layoffs that the White House has been warning, more will come if the government stays shut down. And they're saying Democrats will take the blame for that.
Well, because it's given, from what I understand, again, I'm not an expert on this, but from what I understand, the longer the government is shut down, it gives Trump an opportunity, even more of an opportunity, to go in and let's find out what's really being wasteful spending money. And that's what should be happening anyway. Right? Just saying.
They also say that they're pulling funding for a lot of projects. The president described them as Democrat-oriented projects. Mm-hmm. One of that is they're withholding about $18 billion in funding for 2 infrastructure projects in your state. How do you and can you fight back against that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once again, this administration is making a foolish mistake by saying that they think that investments in housing and in energy are so-called Democrat priorities. Cutting the EPA as a Democrat priority.
Wait a minute. So the left has been in power for 4 years, plus she's been in New York. Why is there a housing problem? This is the problem I have. Why all of a sudden there's such a crisis and a housing problem with you, AOC? I think she just got reelected. Maybe I need to go Google her. How long the hell has she been in New York and running, doing absolutely nothing? Billions of dollars for these other projects that aren't getting done because it's just a slush fund. But besides that, now housing is a problem. It's a crisis. But you've been there. You've been in office already. How come nobody's standing up and saying, well, you've already been there. What have y'all done? Why is it such a crisis now? It should have been under control. The way you're talking like, well, if we get what we want, we get all the money we want, everything's going to be okay. But as soon as the money dries up, all of a sudden it's a crisis. Like, shouldn't you have already had some housing for people with the money that you already had gotten from the federal government and from your own tax-paying citizens? Where's all that housing? Oh, that's right. You stuck all the illegals in a hotel. Why couldn't you stick your own homeless in there? Or people who needed housing. Say it's a single mom with 2 kids. Why didn't she get a room at the inn? Why all of a sudden there's a crisis? See, they're just full of shit, is what I'm saying.
Priority. You know what this country looked like before the EPA? Rivers in rural areas were on fire because of corporations poisoning the people who lived in those areas. Poor middle-class communities getting poisoned and dumped on by corporations like Deloitte and 3M, pouring chemicals into these places. And they want to call it a Democratic priority. And that's why they want to eliminate the FDA. Well, you know what? You're damn well right that it's a Democratic priority to keep people from getting poisoned, from identifying dangerous chemicals that are being dumped and causing cancer.
Why didn't you ever say anything about what's in our foods? Why do you care? And we've always known corporations dumping stuff in rivers and things like that. That's been happening since the 70s, since the 60s. And when they're caught, they're fined and they got to clean it up. What is she talking about?
In people without their knowledge. You're damn right that it's a Democratic priority to bring down the cost of housing and mortgages and rent. And you're damn right that it's a Democratic priority to raise the minimum wage in this country to allow people to get a fair shot at the American dream. If they want to say that
you keep raising that, it goes back to the consumer. You raise the minimum wage again. Guess what? The products you buy are going to cost more. It's trickled down in economics. Isn't that what they used to say? We saw it with McDonald's. We saw it. You have to pay people more. The business's costs, they have to compensate paying these people. They're going to raise their prices to compensate to pay you. So really, we're still the same as we were before you even did it. Just saying.
That's a Democratic priority. They're right. And they are targeting all of us with this. And so I do think it's important for us to remember that, and that these priorities are actually not partisan at all.
And Senator Sanders, on this front, when we look at funding that Congress has already approved, one thing Democrats want to try to do here is to limit the White House's and the president's ability to rescind funding that's been approved by Congress. As you're negotiating a deal, or if we try to get closer to one, is that something that's a deal breaker for you?
Absolutely. You know, we are beginning, one of the things that frightens me, Caitlin, is we begin to accept as normal the unconstitutional, illegal, and outrageous actions on the part of the White House. Can you imagine anybody ever thinking that it would be acceptable for somebody to say, oh, people in New York and California and Vermont, they didn't vote for me. I'm not going to put federal funds into those states. You didn't vote for me.
He is so disingenuous. He is so disingenuous. That's not true. He's not going to fund you because you're sanctuary cities. He's not going to fund you because you want men and women's bathrooms. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
We right now have a president who is targeting the Attorney General of New York State. Who is
And why? There's documented evidence. She lied on her paperwork to buy a home. Again, I'm not an expert, but I'm not a complete retard. I saw the documents. In fact, it's gone back since the 1980s, and she lies on all of her shit. She says it's her second home, and it's gonna be her primary residence, the house in Norfolk. She's got another home. I think it's in Manhattan. It's a 5-bedroom. She said it was a 4-bedroom. She did all this to get a lower interest rate. And what did she do? She rented out the house in Norfolk, supposedly to her niece, who says she lived there rent-free. But then Letitia goes and files taxes that she's collected rent on this property. Why would they not go after her? She's an attorney general of a city, of New York City. She broke the law. This has nothing to do with Trump or a witch hunt. She broke the law, period.
targeting a United States senator because they did their jobs.
But no, you're not bitching and complaining that y'all weaponized the DOJ to go after Trump on stupid the same thing that they're going after Letitia James with. The hypocrisy. It's astounding.
Former head of the FBI. What he is trying to do and what ICE raids and knocking down doors are about is to make all of you afraid.
That's
You're
right.
a federal employee, don't speak up. You're a government official, don't speak up.
That's not true. That's not true. It's to make you feel more safe. What do you mean be more afraid? So he's talking about, the illegals are more afraid. And yeah, they should be afraid. But if the National Guard was in my town, which we don't have a big problem here where I'm at, not like what's happening in Chicago and Portland and other parts of the country and in Washington, D.C., good God. Their crime is just insane. Now it's getting cleaned up. Why are they against this? Getting rid of the crime. It doesn't make any sense. And then he says this, he's doing this to make people afraid? This is absurd.
You're in a law firm that somehow had clients taking on Trump. Don't speak up because they're going to punish you. You are on CNN. We're going to sue you if you ask the wrong questions. My friends, what this is about is a movement toward authoritarianism, intimidating.
Flip what he just said and apply it to the Biden administration. Everything he just said, it did the same thing with AOC in the other video. Just flip it and put away totalitarianism, flip it to the Biden administration. Suppressing free speech, shutting accounts down on social media so they could control the narrative, so they could control the media. It's exactly what they did. And now they're accusing Trump of what they did. Trump is not suppressing anybody's free speech. Now, I think he's going after a false narrative, speaking lies, and calling them out, facts checking them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. And nobody's going, he sued Snuffleupagus. I call him Snuffleupagus. And he won. So it was legit. So what is he spinning here? What is he spinning here? He's spinning a bunch of bullshit.
Us all, making us afraid. And you stop and you think, what is this country about? What makes us the great country that people all over the world have always envied, looked to? It's the word freedom. It's the right to dissent. You disagree with me? That's fine. We have free elections. You want to beat me in an election? Go for it.
Oh, wait a minute. No, not in y'all's world we didn't have freedom, because if we didn't call somebody by their name pronoun, you were a sexist, bigot, Islamic homophobe. You wanted to put words in other people's mouths, in our mouths, if you could get fired from your job, or y'all wanted to make laws, or y'all wanted to suppress speech and shut people down if they were against transgenderism, or don't tell me I gotta call somebody a she and clearly they're a he. What are you talking about? It's like they just twist what they do and redirect it and say, well, they're doing this. They're like, oh shit. The Republicans won, and they're winning because they're against not suppressing free speech. They want everybody to have free speech. So why don't we just say that they're doing it? I mean, who's the think tank here? A little peon like me could clearly figure this out, can clearly see and hear with my own eyes what y'all did. What y'all did during the Obama administration, and you've turned it around and just completely say Trump is doing what y'all did. It's amazing.
You're a newspaper writer, write what you want. It's not having
Sure.
the president trying to intimidate you, sue you, cut your funding because you did.
Because if you slander somebody, this is common sense. You're going to slander somebody, you better make sure you have your facts straight. Right? That's just common sense. So what is he talking about?
Disagree with him. And that is the issue that we've got to also address, not just healthcare, not just housing. It's whether or not we stand up for the freedoms that millions of Americans fought and died to defend.
Are you either of you going to demand that they release the funding for those two
Absolutely,
infrastructure
of
projects
course.
in order to reopen the government?
Of course. Well, you know, here's what we have to
Of course,
say.
we want all that
Not
money.
only should this infrastructure
They want 1.5 trillion for all their stupid pet projects, which is nothing but slush fund to get funneled through different ways. And I guarantee, I hope they investigate every one of them. I hope the FBI, the DOJ invests everyone who's got over $100 million in their bank account, and these people have been in office. They've been career politicians, and they're multi-millionaires. How? Find the money. Follow the money.
funding be released. But in New York, which this administration is targeting in some of these infrastructure cancellations, some of the projects that they have canceled have been large-scale wind energy projects.
Oh, God.
And again, they think this is a Democratic priority, right? Because it's wind energy.
It's
But this is
garbage.
energy, period.
No, it's
in
not.
New York State,
It's crap.
Con Ed bills, that's our energy utility, Con Ed bills are set to go up almost another $100 next year because of those cancellations. That's affecting, and it's jacking up the prices in Mike Lawler's district, in Nicola Maliotakis' district, in Republican districts across the state. It is affecting, and they are jacking up the prices on MAGA voters too. It is killing all of us.
Yeah.
And so while they think
That was lagging.
that
I think, okay, New York City, if you want windmill, you pay for it. Not the federal government, which is all of our tax dollars. No, you pay for it. You figure it out. You're so damn smart. And you think wind's going to be so good and y'all are going to get such a return on your investment, then you pay for it. You pay for these piece of shit wind turbines that kill birds, are noisy, nobody wants them in their backyard, they're garbage, they rust, and you're ordering that shit from China. It's dumb. It's dumb. And it's not cost effective. It is not. You want it, you pay for it. Do what Mandabi wants to do. He wants to raise the rich, raise their taxes. Hell, make them pay for it.
sabotaging energy projects in this country, which, by the way, oil and gas, much more volatile. That goes up and down all the time.
No, because if we drill, baby, drill, we'll become self-sufficient. And we can't rely on fucking batteries and stupid wind turbines and solar because it's all crap. Everybody knows it. It's garbage.
that they think sabotaging these projects are somehow owning the libs. No.
Well, and I should note that Mike Lawler has told us he's actually trying to get the administration to reverse that holding on that funding. Senator Sanders, though, on the shutdown.
If I might.
But can I ask you on the shutdown, because I've got a housing question for you coming up.
All right, I'm happy to answer that. But let me also just add on to what Alexandria said. Give you an
Add on
example
some garbage.
of cutting quote-unquote democratic programs.
Yeah,
I managed to
they're
get a
Democrat
$7 billion
programs.
provision in the Inflation Reduction Act. You know what it does? It will help low-income and working-class people
God.
install solar panels on their rooftops. If you have solar on your rooftop, you know what? Your electric bill will go down 70, 80.
Y'all go Google horror stories of having solar put on their house. Just go research it. I'm not gonna pull it up here because this is gonna go long. Watching these two knuckleheads. Go research it. You need to figure this stuff out on your own. I've seen dozens of them. Nightmare. They spend a ton of money on these things to make their house more energy efficient. It's a scam. It is. Everybody's been duped by the windmill and by the solar. It's not. Look, just go research it yourself and you'll see. And yes, these have been Democrat funded projects. And it's been billions of dollars that they have spent on this. So the Biden administration had 4 years. Look what Trump has got accomplished in just 9 months. Biden administration has 4 years. And here is New York still crying that they're having energy problems. They're having a housing crisis. Their people are going to starve. What have y'all been doing? What'd y'all do with all these billions of dollars? This is why Trump is saying no more. We're cutting the spigot off because you guys are loony. You guys are loony. Because the stuff should have already been built. What are you doing? What are you doing? What have you been doing with the money? No, they're not going to tell us that. The money they've already received for all these kinds of programs.
90%. We're going to create all kinds of jobs doing that, building the solar, installing the solar. We're suing them, but they cut that program. A Democratic program. Significantly reduce electric costs for working class people
we
in America.
missed out
That
on
is
all that
mentality.
money.
And by the way, it's part of a mentality of Trump, which thinks that climate change is a hoax.
Yeah,
and they
I
warned
agree.
that more cuts could come the longer this shutdown goes on. Senator Bobby Harms is joining us. She's a bartender from Horn Lake, Mississippi. She is a Democrat. She submitted her question via
A
video.
Democrat from Mississippi.
Indeed.
All right, there we go.
My American dream has turned into a nightmare. My family was only days away from closing on a USDA loan for our dream home. Then came news of the shutdown, and now we face uncertainty. Our lease is up, and now we have to move. This shutdown is costing us our chance to live our dream. What are you doing to end this stalemate and help restore faith in our elected officials, the people I helped to choose to guard my American dream?
We're going to do everything that we can.
No, they're not going to do shit. They don't care. They don't care about her. They don't care about none of this. All they care about is that 1.5 trillion they want for their slush fund for all this stupid ass shit that they want to do. And Trump's saying, no, this is a big waste of money. And the American people should be pissed at the Democrats for doing this. It's the Democrats' fault. All of it is their fault. The last 4 years of Biden and the shithole we're in is their fault. Healthcare is Democrat Obama's fault. It's all their fault.
To bring an end to this terrible shutdown, which is hurting you and which is hurting 1 million federal employees and millions of people
So go
who
back
use
to work.
federal services. But also, we have got to be cognizant that if Trump wins this fight, our healthcare system could well collapse and tens of thousands of people could die every
God.
single year.
I didn't see them whining and crying about the hundreds of thousands of people who were dying every year over the fentanyl crossing the border. Where was the outcry of that? Oh no! So Trump won't compromise with us to get the government back up, but the healthcare is gonna collapse and 50,000, 100,000 people are gonna die. Did you hear one of them, any one of them, complain about the fentanyl coming across the border with the borders wide open? Y'all have all seen the pictures of Kensington. California, other places in the country. People are walking around like zombies. People are dying because of the drugs that poured over, and all the people who have died because of them. They're not saying that. Were they bitching about that? No, they're going to bitch about 50,000 people are going to die because the government is shut down. But they never once bitched and complained, why is the border not shut down? Why are all these drugs? No, they're complaining that Trump is blowing these people up out of the water. The damn drugs going everywhere. Somebody said, well, what about the fish and stuff? I don't know. The ocean is so vast. Oh, no, you shouldn't be blowing them up. You're killing them. We need to bring them in and then give them no cash bail. And then we'll release them and tell them when their court date is. They need to go through the liberal Democrat process, which is catch and release. That's what they're doing. Oh, God, no, you can't. Oh, my God, you just blew them out of the water. Hell yeah, we blew them out of the water. They're poison coming across our border. I've had 2 family members die from these drugs. Yes, blow them out of the water. Damn right. I want them to go into Venezuela and just bomb the shit out of them. Why not? Get them. The government is nothing but a terrorist organization. Go get them. Get them out. Get them out.
Do you think Trump could win this fight?
No, we're gonna win
Yes.
it. But it's not, I don't want to look at it like a political fight. We're going to win it because the American people are on our side. If you are, or you're a Republican.
No, the people aren't on your side, bro. We hired Trump to get the illegals out, stop the drug flow, and close the borders.
Congresswoman, you're going to go back to your district, and people are going to say to you, why are you doubling my insurance premiums? Why did you throw me off of health care? That's a fight that Republicans are not going to win.
The Democrats had signed a bill, I guess, a while back, and it's fixing to run out. And it was to extend the, I guess, the subsidies or whatever for the health care. But there's people on it that aren't supposed to be on it. That's what he's talking about. Like if they make a certain amount of money, they don't get the subsidies. So you have this bracket up here who are getting these subsidies that in the original bill says they shouldn't be getting the subsidies. So the liberals never make sense. This is why Obamacare is a dumpster fire disaster. So now it's run out. They're the one that put that provision in there, so it's going to run out. So now they're like, okay, so now the Trump administration's reviewed and going, hey, why are all these people up here in this bracket? And the original bill said that they shouldn't be if they're making $150,000, $200,000. Why are they getting subsidized? Begging the question. And that's what he's talking about. It's those are the people who are gonna lose those subsidies.
Well, and to Bobby's question, Representative, earlier you said that House Speaker Mike Johnson said he wants this shutdown to be one of the longest in history. I believe he said it could be one of the longest in history. He was saying that more of a warning about how long it could go on. I don't think it was a threat. But I do think people want to know how long they should brace for this to potentially go on for. Do you think by Thanksgiving the government could still be shut down?
I mean, I would certainly hope not. My hope is that we're able to resolve this as quickly as possible. I'm ready to negotiate. Bernie's ready to negotiate. I mean, we are all open and ready to.
They're not ready to negotiate because they still want 1.5 trillion of all the stupid programs that they want. That's what they want. They want billions of dollars for stupid ass wind turbines for power. No.
Is anyone actually negotiating right now?
No, but
Because we hear from
let
Republicans
me
and
reiterate
Democrats
one point. Republicans aren't in town. How do you
House
negotiate with people who refuse even to show up to do their job? They're on vacation for what, a month now?
Yes, House Republicans.
No, that is not true. Trump's administration is still working. Every other day I see him in a press conference.
have been on vacation for.
But the Republican senators are here, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, we've had him on. He said, we've done our job. We passed the clean CR in the House. It's now up to the Senate to make these negotiations.
They need to pick up a phone, Caitlin. They need to pick up a phone. They're saying that they're doing all this work. They are twiddling their thumbs and talking to each other. It is actually an unconscionable abdication and refusal to work. They refuse. I've never seen people who hate working so much in my life. I mean, genuinely, they won't.
Oh my God, don't get me started about leftist, loony little snowflakes. They're the ones that don't want to work. The liberals want to give money to those people who are able-bodied and don't want to work. What is she talking about? What is she doing? If they gave a shit about anybody but themselves and their own pet projects, they would have passed the bill and then go, okay, now let's pass the bill through the first, and then we can sit down and let's start negotiating. Let's start figuring stuff out. But still, Trump is going to tell them, we don't want this dumbass shit. What are you doing? And they're going to cry and pout and whine and try to shut the government down again because they're not going to get their $1.5 trillion. That's it for dumbass shit.
Even pick up the phone. They won't. If I were Mike Johnson, you should be in that office negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries every damn day until we reopen this government.
Hakeem Jeffries? Okay. He's like the sharpest tool in the shed.
And any day that you don't do that is a failure. It is a failure. And until there is accountability for people who refuse to work, then we're going to continue to be in this cycle. So, in the Senate, the Senate Majority Leader is John Thune. He should be negotiating with Chuck Schumer. President Trump should be having congressional leaders in the White House. Do you see that every day? No, you don't, because they're playing golf and they're going to Mar-a-Lago, and the House and Republicans in the House have been on vacation for weeks now. We are here in Washington, D.C. We are ready to work. We are ready to strike a deal. We're not here to just be my way and the highway about everything. But what we're also not going to accept is the complete collapse of the American healthcare system, so that just because the Republican Party has decided to take 1 million federal workers hostage.
Can I ask you on that?
Wait a second. Y'all want to keep illegals on the healthcare system. It's draining the system. If we keep all these illegals here, it's going to drain our Social Security. A lot of these illegals who come here to work that the libs say, oh, they're just peaceful, wanting a better life. They're sending the money back to their own country, to their family there. They're not spending it here. This has been a problem for decades, not just something overnight, not just something. It got worse during the Biden administration because the floodgates were open. They were sending them text messages and phones and little pamphlets and telling them how to get to get here and where to go. And where we're going to send you. We saw all the buses getting filled up that you guys did. Put them on buses and planes and send them to all parts of the country. Dumping them in other people's cities. I didn't see them dumping them in your backyard. I didn't see you opening up your home. You allowing them to live in your house. No. You didn't. You did none of that. But you're blaming the Trump administration for stopping the bleeding. Stop with the stupid spending. But y'all are going to steadfast, keep America hostage. Those people who really need it, if you gave a shit, you would just open the government back up.
Because you before have said a government shutdown is like hostage taking when it comes to paychecks, because you came into office actually during a government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history. So what would you say to Republicans who say you're doing the hostage taking this time?
Good point. Good question.
Once again, pick up the phone. They need to pick up the phone. And it's not hostage taking if they refuse to clock in, right? We're all clocked in. We're all clocked in to do the job. They're not even here. They're not even here. And so it's not hostage taking as much as the fact is they refuse to show up and do the job.
Once again.
No, because you refuse to take off the table dumbass shit going to Haiti, going to Palestine, going to different parts of the world. Y'all can go Google and research. I'm not making this up. And that y'all want to still keep all that crap on the table. You want all of this nonsense, buying shit from China for windmills that rust, break down. And I did a video. Y'all go dig for it. I did a video on the body parts when they wear out of these turbines. They're giant, the huge blades, like on a damn blame airplane. Probably they're bigger, right? So it's like this graveyard in Texas, and it's near. I guess it's some kind of housing or apartment or some kind of subdivision where kids could just ride their bikes over there. And it's in this huge field, right? And it's just, the people there are saying it's just a breeding ground for rattlesnakes. It's the turbines when they rust, break down, and they got to change the blades. Well, there's a graveyard for that. Like you got an airplane graveyard. Here you got, which they're supposed to be all about the green environment. This shit is just piled up in this huge area. You should go Google it and see it. You'd be like, damn. Those blades don't last that long, and then they end up in this big old pile. I guess they haven't figured out how to recycle them, obviously. And plus, this is another thing I found in that article. I did this about a year ago. There's a company that was supposed to be recycling them. So this company was getting paid, right? Getting paid by the government to recycle this shit. But no, it's still there in a huge, big field. They just took the money and just dumped the shit there. And each time they get some more, they just dump it there again. This is the kind of waste I'm talking about. Are they going to tell you that they paid some company to do this? And then they didn't follow through? Who's overseeing this shit? Like, I pay you to do something in my house, and you don't do it, right? You're going to call the police, you're going to file a report, you're going to sue them, you're going to go to the news, say, look what they did. No, they didn't follow up on this other company. They could care less, and this is right near neighborhoods in Texas. This huge field of just body parts to these windmills. They're just sitting there rotting in a breeding ground for copperhead snakes.
The law is in the Senate, they need 60 votes. They don't have 60 votes. They've got 53, or maybe 52. That means you have to sit down and talk to the other side. It is not complicated. They are not doing that.
Yeah, each side is saying that no one's talking. And speaking of what's happening in the Senate, Senator Sanders, this next question is for you. It's from Rohan Naval, who is joining us here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. He said he's a Republican and a student at American University, and that you interned for the conservative group Americans for Tax Reform. What's your question?
Yes, thank you for your time, Senator. How do you think this shutdown reflects on Chuck Schumer's leadership?
Well, I think it reflects more on Mike Johnson's leadership and President Trump's leadership. This is a leadership which said it's okay to give well, how do you feel? You tell me. Think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the richest people in the country and then make massive cuts to healthcare for working class people?
I think Chuck Schumer has voted for continuing resolutions 13 times in the last 4 years, and he has the opportunity to vote for one again, but he's refusing to come to the table.
Well, I think, look, as I have said,
He's well
there
informed.
are 53 Republicans in the Senate, correct?
Yes.
They need 60. What does that mean? It means you have to talk to the other side. Mike Johnson is not talking. John Thune is not talking. President Trump is not talking. That is the problem.
Well, they say their position is reopen the government and then we'll talk.
But
Who changes their strategy first? Who's going to blink first? I think is a question a lot of people have.
Well, I certainly hope this is not
That
a
was
game.
a good
And a lot of
question
lives
from
are at
Bert.
stake in terms of our federal employees who are hurt, in terms of tens of millions of people who are going to suffer from these health care proposals. So I hope the
don't
Republicans do the right thing. Come to the damn table
Why
and
don't
talk.
you do the
Can
right
I ask
thing?
you, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, on that? Because we actually heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson today on Chuck Schumer. He said he's supporting the shutdown to prevent a primary challenge from his left wing. Do you think that's what's driving Senator Schumer here?
No, absolutely not. It's such an insane suggestion. And in fact, it speaks to how desperate they are. This claim has been, Mike Johnson's been saying this, John Thune's been saying this. They are saying this because they are refusing to do their job. They're grasping for straws. They're trying to make this about political tabloids and political intrigue and horse races, exactly the kinds of things that people are sick of in this country. We're sick of it. We're sick of talking about these horse races, and we're sick of leaders who only want to spend their time talking about that instead of talking about real issues that affect our lives. Instead of talking about healthcare, instead of talking about wages, instead of talking about having air that's drinkable, air that's breathable and water that's drinkable. And it is honestly astonishing to me that the Speaker of the House would waste his time on something so inane and silly instead of actually worrying about his own constituents who are suffering at the hands of his leadership.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
All right.
no.
Let me
this-
jump
I don't
in on
think
this one.
Is about anything this is what we're
Caitlin,
talking about.
Mr. John-
Oh my God. The word on the street is AOC has Schumer's balls on her mantle. Basically, she's what? She's leading the charge of the left, taking the party far left. Who's she sitting with? She's sitting with Bernie Sanders. Schumer's not up there with her. Schumer's not up there with her. And he's probably not going to run again. Good God, the man, these people need to retire. Look at Sanders needs to go. They need to retire. They need to go. They need to go enjoy the rest of their life. Hell, they became millionaires working for the people. The 60% Bernie Sanders says that suffer, while 40% are billionaires and millionaires. Well, he's one of them. He's one of the 40%. He's up there. But the rest of us, we're suffering. She didn't even know how to respond to that. She's like, what? Yeah, she probably went. I don't know what the hell's wrong with New York.
Exactly what we're talking
This is what we're
You have a
talking
country
about.
that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an
Oh my
education
God.
crisis,
It's a crisis.
massive income and wealth inequality,
It's a crisis.
corrupt campaign finances,
Oh
and the
my
media
God.
says, "Oh, you going to run? What are you going to run for?"
It's a
Nobody
crisis.
cares. So
It's
what
a
we're
crisis.
talking
Nobody cares.
Oh my God.
And President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
Oh my God, the sky's falling. Trump's elected. The Republican. It's amazing that the sky wasn't falling when they were there. There was no housing crisis when they were there. And it was just 9 months ago. But within 9 months, the sky is falling. And there is a crisis. I don't know about y'all, but I've really enjoyed the gas prices. Where I'm at right now, it's at, I think I saw it this morning, it was $2.54 a gallon. When Biden was in office, it was up to almost $3 a gallon. It was killing me. It was killing me. I mean, I just had to make sure, and I still do it for the most part. It's like if I'm going out, I'm going to get all my errands done in a certain way and come back because oh my God. It was a crisis with the gas with Biden. But right before the election, I had did a video last year. It's like right before the election, those gas prices came down like miraculously. Like, what? You brought the gas prices down? What? It went to like, what, $2.70 or something like that. It was still hurt. It was still a little hurting, but it was better than the $3. It was a crisis during them when they were in power. But now all of a sudden, oh my God. He was like, oh, it's a crisis. The school's a crisis. Everything's a crisis. They're not getting money because they're propping up woke propaganda. No, you're not going to get any money. So stop it and we'll give you money. That's it. Simple as that. Stop it and we'll give you money. Stop it. Have a better plan in New York for your infrastructure that's not going to be wasteful. And probably Trump wants somebody to oversee the spending. Oh, no, they don't want that. Now, I'm just guessing about that. But I think it's a good idea. You can't trust these people with money. You can't. Trump going to give New York money? He better appoint somebody who oversees that money and follows that money everywhere it goes. Does it get to the contractors? Is the contractors buying the equipment to build a building or whatever it is they're building or a street? Are the employees getting paid? Is the work getting done? Boom. Boom. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And let me tell you what the real issue is.
That's what
Because
they
CNN
do.
talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies...
Oh, because you let millions upon millions upon millions in the country illegally. those people never came in, we'd have plenty of room, and we should have had plenty of money, being the richest country on the planet, to provide health care for our homeless and our veterans. But no. You guys didn't want to help the veterans because the veterans was a disaster. The veterans, the VA, we all know. Our own homeless people, our own people who were insane. There's no place provided for them. Where were you? Where were you? Like, in just 9 months, all this happened? In 9 months, everything's a disaster and a catastrophe and a crisis. They over-exaggerate so bad. In fact, it was a disaster and a crisis with y'all having open borders and all of these people in this country.
The reality of climate change, why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not our own political future. She'll decide that.
On that note, Senator Sanders, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, we have many more questions coming up. We'll be right back from our CNN Town Hall right after this. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I don't know how much
Senator,
more
I'd
I
like to
can
ask you
take.
about some breaking
How much
news that happened
longer is
today
this?
and what we
Oh,
had heard
God.
from the White House. The president
like
confirmed that there
another
are
20
CIA
minutes.
actions
Oh, my
happening in
God.
Venezuela. We've seen multiple strikes happening on what they allege are drug boats out in open waters. Are you worried about this escalating further from here?
Well, I am worried again about the president acting in an unconstitutional way. Constitution is pretty clear. You want to go to war, you got to go through Congress. You got to need authority from Congress. Think about what kind of world we live in. It's just governments are busy bombing and attacking other countries at will. So that concerns me very much. So yeah, I am concerned about it.
And his argument is he's saving lives because he's alleging that they're
Good, they
carrying
come to the
drugs
Congress
in
and
boats.
explain to us why you are doing that, and if it makes sense.
You already know why they're doing it. Why are you even saying this? You know it. You didn't bitch that hundreds of thousands of young people dying over fentanyl drugs coming across the border. Now he's doing something about it. You want to protect the drug lords, just like you want to protect the illegals in this country.
You'll get support.
Okay, so you're not saying you're against it. You're just saying you'd like
I
to have
am
them.
saying
make
that the
justification.
president is acting unilaterally in violation of the Constitution. That's a pretty big deal.
I don't think
And
so.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez, another question tonight when it comes to how this shutdown is playing out here in Washington. I want to bring in Jill Ireland, who is a Democrat who works in insurance. She's from Santa Barbara, California, and her question is appearing via video tonight.
Hello. My question is, do you think that taxpayers should be paying for the medical care of immigrants that are in the country illegally? Thank you.
Good question.
Well, we already know, and this is a common lie that Republicans have been repeating, that this shutdown is about Democrats trying to provide health care to the undocumented. And we already know that it is federal law and federal statute that undocumented people cannot be covered by the ACA, they cannot be covered by Medicaid, they cannot be covered by Medicare, period. That is the law of the land. There are plenty of federal laws on the books. Now, the vice president has been trafficking this other misconception, saying that the emergency Medicaid program is providing health care to undocumented people. That too is a complete, just, I don't even know, whole cloth storytelling, we should say. The truth of
I believe they have evidence to back this up.
the matter is that we have a federal law, as it should be, that any person who walks into a hospital in desperate need of medical attention receives that medical attention regardless of their insurance status and regardless of who they are. And I don't know about you, but me as a human being, I don't want to live in a world where if a human being is struck by a car or is getting rushed into a hospital, that the people in the ER surgical room are asking for your insurance information or asking for documents before they save your life.
But can I ask?
Well, there's another problem here that she's glossing over, is that in some of these cities across America, the emergency rooms are so packed with illegals, regular citizens are even having to wait. Now, look, I'm not saying that somebody has an emergency situation, no matter who they are. Obviously, they need to get looked at. But once you look at them and they don't have ID, they don't have papers, they need to call ICE to come get them and then get them out of here. So there you go. Because our emergency room shouldn't be overflowing with illegals. Some people just go to the emergency room where they don't need to go at all. And they're just packing them in there because they got a cold. Maybe they think they got COVID and they need some but whatever, God knows what. But y'all know what I mean. Some people are hypochondriacs. But the thing is, the bottom line is that a lot of these hospitals get overrun and packed with illegals in some of these cities, and that is a problem. She didn't bring up that.
Ask you on this to follow up, because you said that it is federal law that people, undocumented immigrants, can't get Medicare, Medicaid, the Obamacare subsidies. Do you believe that should be the law, though, or do you think undocumented immigrants should have access to federally funded health care?
I believe personally that healthcare is a human right. I believe that every person should be able to go to the doctor, but I believe that right now federal law is the federal law, and that absolutely, that U.S. citizens and people who pay into our programs deserve to be covered by these programs. And I mean, once again, I do believe that the federal laws that we have on the books are appropriate.
But if
the
you
right
could
ones
choose,
to do.
do you believe that should be changed?
Pardon?
If you could choose, do you believe that the federal law should be changed?
I don't. I believe in a single-payer healthcare system where if you go in and you need a doctor, you can get the medical attention that you need.
Okay, let me just make a point here.
I think she truly does want to give illegals health care, Medicaid, access to Social Security, all of this stuff, because it's future voters for them of tomorrow. But I think they didn't count on these people leaving from Cuba, leaving from these communist countries, and coming to, say, Florida, and Florida overwhelmingly votes went completely red. It's because these people saw what these people are doing and going, oh, God, you're like the communist people we just left. Just saying.
Do you know what demagogues like Trump always do?
Oh.
Instead of addressing the real crises facing our country, why are we the only major country not to guarantee health care while spending twice as much per person? We're spending $14,500. It's a good debate, right? Let's have that debate.
Because
Hearing
the
Trump talking
healthcare is
about
a
that?
mess.
No.
Why are we having a housing crisis when millions of people are
It's a
spending 40,
crisis.
50% of their living? Let's discuss that.
It's a
You know what
crisis.
demagogues do, guys? What they do is they find a powerless minority. In Europe during the 30s, it was the Jews, then it's the Gypsies. In America, it's historically been black people, it's been gay people, it's been Latino people, you name, you pick. You got a powerless minority, let's blame them for everything.
True.
But you know what they don't blame?
What?
Somehow or another, they don't blame the billionaires who run the
Oh,
country.
my God.
Because those guys finance their campaigns. They're trying to divide us up. And what we have got to do is understand we are the majority. Most Americans think healthcare is a right. Most Americans think
Holy
we should have
shit.
a minimum wage, which is a living wage. Most Americans
Oh,
don't
my
believe we should give
God.
tax breaks to billionaires and cut back on education. Let's bring our people together, not fall for the demagoguery of Trump and his friends.
And by the way,
Looky here. You keep raising the minimum wage on these shitty little ass jobs. What's the incentive for somebody to go, I don't want to stay here and work this shitty job, but they're paying me $20 an hour. I want to go to school. I want to learn, either be an architect or an attorney or move up in life. These little low jobs are supposed to be a stepping stone so you could then go on and better your life. I mean, that's how it was when I was coming around. That's how I understood it. You'd get you a little job, and then you get an education, and then you can move up, get into management, whatever it is somebody wants to do, but it's a stepping stone. See, now you have old people working at McDonald's or working at Walmart. The cost of living has gone up. It's a crisis. Did you hear what he said? We got to hear this.
they cannot be covered by Medicaid. They cannot be, regardless, to be covered by these programs. And I mean,
We're having a housing crisis when millions of people are spending 40, 50% of their living. Let's discuss that. Do you know what demagogues do, guys? What they do is they find a powerless minority. In Europe during the 30s, it was the Jews, then it's the Gypsies. In America, it's historically been black people, it's been gay people, it's been Latino people, you name, you pick. You got a powerless minority, let's blame them.
Okay, so he's saying Trump is blaming the poor Mexicans, the poor Mexicans in America. He's blaming them for all our problems. It's a portion of the problem. When you've got unchecked people running amok in the United States, who's running around killing people, raping people, committing heinous crimes, robbery, carjacking, all over the country. We've seen too many stories after stories after stories of the left where an illegal gets arrested and then he's let go. Maybe he's arrested again. Then he's let go. He's illegal. He's not even supposed to be here. And then he goes and kills somebody. How many stories? One's too many, right? We've heard story after story after story across America of this happening. But he's saying Trump is a demagogue. Because we want the border, we want our country safe. We just don't want people just walking in. But that's what y'all wanted, and that's what y'all did. We saw it. For 4 years you did this. You did this.
For everything.
It's true.
But you know what they don't blame? Somehow or another, they don't blame the billionaires who run the country. Because those guys finance their campaigns. They're trying to divide us up. And what we have got to do is understand we...
So you're telling me George Soros hadn't funded none of y'all's bullshit? None of y'all's little secret projects like Antifa and all this to wreak havoc, go and burn cities down, BLM, defund the police.
We are the majority. Most Americans think healthcare is a right. Most Americans think we should have a minimum wage, which is a living wage. Most Americans don't believe we should give tax breaks to billionaires and cut back on education. Let's bring our people together, not fall for the demagoguery of Trump and his friends.
And by the way, this is not the first time that Republicans and the administration does things like this. We have something on the books known as the Hyde Amendment, which prevents women in this country from being able to access reproductive health care services and abortion care services if they are on Medicaid or if they have any federally subsidized health care.
They have health care services. It's the abortion part that they want more of. We're all for. We're the party of death. Here we are with Trump last week passing bills on lowering the cost of people getting the what the hell is that called? Where they couples that can't have children, they can have children or FI, something like that, whatever. But because our numbers are down, R.F. Kennedy got up and said, you know, hey, we're not having kids. We need kids. We need people having kids. We got to get the numbers back. We have to replenish the numbers. But see, the left wants you to murder your children or butcher your children and then let illegals come in. That's it, to change the demographics of America. They are the party of death. They let criminals out who murder people. They do not lock up illegals who committed crimes and let them out. I just talked about that a moment ago. It's item after item after item that I could just throw at them, that they're the biggest death dealers I have ever seen in my life. They want abortion. They want abortion up to the time the woman gives birth. The whole infanticide thing. It's disgusting and despicable. They must worship Baal. I wouldn't doubt it. They're just demon worshipers. I mean, how could you be for this? How could you be for this? Defund the police. Don't lock up criminals. It doesn't matter if they go out and they're crazy and they murder innocent citizens. And then now you want women to have access to just blatantly kill their children. It's disgusting.
And so targeting minorities, targeting vulnerable populations, making healthcare controversial in this country is exactly how they keep us fighting and distracted. These policy debates are more than substantive, merited. We can have these conversations as we have, but let's not trick ourselves into thinking that they somehow are fighting for every American to have health care, to improving health care, to expanding health care, when what they're far more interested in doing is protecting the insurance companies' profit margins that are forcing you to pay more money for less care.
Can I ask on that? Because Speaker Johnson said something to the effect the other day that Republicans are actually the party that wants to fix health care by addressing issues with it, as he says they did in the One Big Beautiful Bill. What would you say to that?
Excuse me, did he really say that?
Yeah, he did.
They're trying to fix healthcare by throwing 15 million people off of it?
They're being
and
more
doubling
serious
premiums?
about it than
Is that how?
I think they're throwing people off of it that are illegals. I can't believe that the Trump administration would throw law-abiding citizens off health care. Now, what he's talking about, and I think this is what he's talking about, is like I said a moment ago, those who have reached the cap. Remember how Obama used to say, well, there's a cap, and then and then they don't have to pay, but then there's these up here that they're not going to get the subsidies, but these people in this bracket are going to get the subsidies. Yeah, it's just all been a damn mess. So I'm thinking these people, because it's going to run out. We already know it's going to run out. So these people that are in a higher money bracket, I don't know if it's 150,000 or 250,000, wherever they are, like at 250,000, why are they getting subsidies? They're making 250,000 a year. Why are they getting the same subsidies as somebody just making 50,000 a year? That is why Trump is getting them off of it. That's it. Is he going to bring that up? No. He's just going to say a blanket statement that Trump's just going to throw all these people off of health care. What's the reasoning?
They fix healthcare? That's a kind of strange way to fix healthcare. Look, here's the point. The United States, richest country on earth, only country not to guarantee healthcare to all people. You go up to Canada, is their system perfect? No. You have a serious operation, you're in the hospital for a month. You know what your bill is when you get out? Zero. They spend half as much as we.
Their healthcare sucks. Don't let him fool you. A lot of them come over here to get their surgeries and stuff. Just telling you, just saying. There's problems when shit is. There's no such thing as free health care. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's going to pay for it. It means your taxes will have to go up. Everything has to go up to pay for it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but maybe they should let the insurance companies take over again and then have a Doge insurance overwatch and make sure that the insurance companies are running like they should. I would say just do that. You need to have an overseer of insurance companies who are going to handle insurance and make sure people get what they need and that they're paying an ample price. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the sharpest tool, so I'm just saying.
We do per capita. So you got a healthcare system which is a disaster, except for one thing. Here's the good news. Drug companies last year charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs made over $100 billion in profit. Insurance companies make tens of millions of dollars. They pay their CEOs $20, $30 million a year. The function of the American healthcare system, and Mr. Johnson is not going to address it. The function of this system is to guarantee huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies, and they could care less.
Oh, there he goes, attacking CEOs. CEOs make money because they're smart. They help the company become profitable. That's why they get paid. Go to school, people. If anybody's out there listening to me, they go to school, learn how to be a CEO so you can make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 or $1 million, $2 million a year in these big companies. There's a reason why they get paid that, because they deserve it.
Less about the needs of ordinary people.
Well, and I know you and I have discussed before, there are areas with the president lowering drug prices where you agree with some of the steps that they're taking, or at least trying to take. But on this front, I want to get back to the questions because we have another one for you, Representative. This is from Nevin Scalco, who is here tonight from Haynesville, Illinois, who works in medical sales. He says he voted Republican for the first time in 2024. Thank you for being here. What's your question?
One reason Americans are losing faith in government is that neither side seems willing to acknowledge when the other gets something right. It feels like any success from the opposing party must automatically be discredited. Don't Democrats risk alienating voters by refusing to give credit, even to Trump, when a policy or action genuinely benefits the country? Isn't part of restoring trust in leadership being honest enough to say, yes, that worked?
Oh, great question.
Yeah, well, I think we're more than willing to be able to come together in the things that are most important to us. I work regularly with Republicans in the House, and I applaud when we're able to pursue work together. I'll give you one example. Towards the end of last year, Republicans and Democrats both championed something known as PBM reform, pharmacy benefit manager reform. This is a middleman in our prescription drugs that the insurers use and lots of other folks use to jack up the price of your prescriptions. And we Republicans have been going after PBM reform. In fact, I spoke with a chairman of one of the committees, and he said, I want to go AOC on PBMs. There is possibility for us to work with one another. President Trump, in fact, had endorsed it at the end of December. And I am fully in support of this effort to make sure that we reform PBMs. Now, politics did get in the way. This was at the end of last year. Elon Musk sent a tweet. We had it ready to go. And this was going to change the lives of millions of people and small businesses across the United States, small neighborhood pharmacists. And what we saw was that Elon Musk sent a tweet. Donald Trump agreed with it. House Republicans agreed with it. Senate Republicans agreed with it. I was more than happy to champion this because it's the right thing to do. And that's what should come first. Now, a tweet made it go all the way, kind of can the whole thing. But should President Trump
What was the tweet?
Revive this? Should House Republicans revive this?
Tell us what
I
it
would
was.
be more than happy, effusive, as
Why?
I have been in the past, about the ability to call a win, because it's not about whether it's a win for Republicans or a win for Democrats. It's about whether it's a win for people.
Blah,
Can I
blah,
ask you on
blah.
that front? I don't think I've seen you say anything publicly, maybe I'm wrong, about the ceasefire in Gaza. Do you believe President Trump deserves credit for that?
Well, I find there have been several ceasefire announcements and developments that have happened over the past 2 years. I think that the release of the hostages is a tremendous accomplishment, and it is providing so much healing to so many people, Israelis and Palestinians, and it is a profound and important moment in this conflict. I also think that as President Trump was on the plane back to the United States, there's already indications and questions about whether this ceasefire will hold. And I pray that it does for everyone's benefit. I pray that it does. But I do believe we need to see if it holds. I don't believe that there's been a history of fidelity to these agreements. And so I think we have to ensure that that we will see the terms held to.
But do you give him credit?
So they can't give him credit for shutting the border, getting illegals out, cleaning up Washington, D.C., actually trying to do a ceasefire. There's going to be problems, but no, they cannot say when something is good for the American people. No.
Do you give him credit, though, for getting to this point where it did get those 20 hostages back home with their families?
In this particular development, yes, but we also know that President Trump was an obstacle to
always a
peace
but.
Previously as well.
It's always a but. What's the
I got a little bit
obstacle?
annoyed when everyone's talking about credit. Let's take a
That's right.
hard look at what's
Oh,
going
my
on.
God.
Why do you get annoyed by
I'll
that?
tell you why. Gaza has a population of 2.2 million people. In the last 2 years, 160,000 people have been wounded, mostly women, children,
Because
and
of
the elderly.
Hamas.
65,000 people have been killed,
Because
women,
of
children, and
Hamas.
the elderly predominantly. That is 10% of the population of Gaza. In America, you know
Because
what
of
that would mean? 33 million people dead or wounded. A disaster.
Because of
a genocide,
Hamas.
if you like. The entire infrastructure of Gaza, hospitals, schools, water systems, wastewater plants, have been destroyed. Under Trump, supporting, and by the way, what bothers me as an American, we have given, under Biden and under Trump, $22 billion to Netanyahu's extremist government, which for the last month or two have been starving children. That has been their policy.
That's right.
So, Caitlin, when you talk about are we overjoyed that the hostages are back, the prisoners are released, that finally there is peace, hopefully it lasts, yes, absolutely. But I think this is not a time for credit. This is a time to think about American policy. Are we happy that we have given tens of billions of dollars to destroy the Palestinian people? Israel had a right to defend itself. They were attacked by a terrorist group. They did not have a right to go to an all-out war against women and children in Gaza.
And moreover,
Because
on
Hamas
this issue
uses
as
them
well,
as shields.
is
Stop
that
it.
we may have an announcement around a ceasefire, but Gaza has been flattened. Tens of thousands of people are dead. Universities gone. Hospitals eliminated. With American-made bombs. With our tax dollars. While you and me and our families can't even afford to put food on the table.
What?
And so
She
I
can't afford to put
welcome
food on the table?
the
Stop it.
cessation of these bombs dropping in Gaza. But I don't, the devastation of everything that we have endured up until this point is not something that I think we should celebrate.
my God.
The United States played a role in all of this destruction to begin with by enabling Benjamin Netanyahu in dropping all of these bombs, by refusing to enforce our own American laws and the Leahy laws on the books, which says that we cannot be transferring weapons to forces that are engaged in gross human rights violations. And we look the other way because we deem them an ally.
Oh
And
my
you're saying that's
God.
not something that you're a criticism that you're just applying to President Trump in terms of
No,
support. You're
President
saying
Biden did it.
obviously
President
did not.
Biden did it, and I have absolutely said that to him in person as well. Bernie and I.
We spent a long time with President Biden trying to make
Biden was not running the country. Beta!
the case.
I've given President Biden hell about this, and President Trump has absolutely been part of this problem as well. In fact, he was bragging publicly about Benjamin Netanyahu ringing him up and asking for all these kinds of bombs that he doesn't even know the United States has, and him signing off on it.
Can I ask you just to finish on the
Yeah.
Senator Sanders, though? But President Trump might look at this and say, well, we had an agreement. It was my negotiators who got Hamas to the table and Israel to the table and had Egypt and the Qataris help broker this. And he says, well, at least there's no fighting now.
Look,
because
again,
he wanted to bring
I
this
think
war to an
every sane person, and certainly the people in Gaza and Israel, are delighted with the ceasefire. We hope it holds. The United States essentially funded this war. If I am funding you, all I got to do is say, hey, Benjamin, guess what? You end this war right now. No more money, no more bombs, no more other military support. In other words, the United States has been from day one, under Biden, under Trump, in the driver's seat.
We've got more questions from our audience here tonight. Representative, this one's for you, actually, and thank you so much for being here. This is Justin Hogue, who is a student at Howard University and also a member of the College Democrats from Burlington Township, New Jersey. Thank you for being here. What's your question for the representative?
Thank you. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, you endorsed Zoran Mandamny in the New York City mayoral race, but several prominent Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, have not yet endorsed him. What do you believe this says about the current divide between the progressive and establishment wings of the Democratic Party, and what effect do you think this has on party unity?
Well, I mean,
I think they made that question for him.
I have stated this for quite some time, which is that Democrats have primaries for a reason. We may have our differences amongst one another within the party. Some may be more conservative, some may be more liberal, or any other number of differences. That's what we have primaries for. I believe in endorsing the nominee of a party after a primary has resolved itself. And the reason I say that is because I worry that when we don't follow that principle, in fact, it is most important to follow that principle when the winner of the primary is not someone we agree with. You know, I endorsed Bernie in 2020 when he ran against President Biden. President Biden won that nomination. And we all had to come together and do the work of supporting our party's nominee in order to make sure that we win. And so I do worry about the example it sets when our leaders do not support the party nominee, because in the future, we will need folks to rally behind the presidential nominee. And if that nominee is more moderate, or if that nominee is more progressive, and we're setting the precedent of not endorsing the nominee unless we agree with them, I worry about what example that sets. And so I have made myself very clear about that, but my hope is that it's never too late to do the right thing. And Election Day is just a month away, just 3 weeks.
So she doesn't have a problem with getting behind Mandami, who is a Muslim. Looks like I'm encoding overload. It says I need to go into my settings. So she endorses Mandami, and he's a Muslim, practices Islam. He's a socialist. And she's all for it. She is all for that. And that, I would say, is the most un-American thing anybody could ever do. Now, this has another 20 minutes. I'm going to put the link in the description. So we're at 108 on the board. You guys want to go and watch the rest of her bullshit, rest of her gobbledygoo. Look, her gobbledygoo bullshit and Sanders bullshit. Please go right ahead. I think I've had enough. Wow. It's astounding, the hypocrisy and what they say and what they do. It's like whatever they accuse the other side of, it's exactly what they're doing. It's a great playbook, and people are buying it. Because a lot of people don't either have time, they just don't go look this stuff up. They're not fact checking them. But there you go. There you have it.